Welcome, dear listeners, to our podcast, where we delve into the annals of history to uncover the fascinating tales of bygone eras. Today, we embark on an intriguing journey to explore the decline of a mighty empire. But first, let us set the stage for a different tale, one that whispers secrets of the past, of science and discovery in America. Our topic may seem unrelated at first glance, but bear with me, for it is in the unlikeliest of places that we find the seeds of change. In the aftermath of World War II, as the world breathed a sigh of relief, the United States found itself at the forefront of scientific innovation, poised to shape the future. It was an era marked by great minds and visionary leaders, among whom Vannevar Bush stood tall. This brilliant engineer and scientist, with his keen insight into the potential of science to propel nations forward, played a pivotal role in shaping America's scientific endeavors. As we wander through the corridors of history, let us pause at the year 1945, when Bush penned his seminal report, Science, the Endless Frontier. This document, presented to President Truman, outlined a comprehensive plan for post-war scientific research and development, emphasizing the need for a national institution dedicated to the advancement of science. It was a call to action, a beacon of hope for a future where science would be the guiding light. In the bustling streets of Washington, D.C., amidst the fervor of post-war Reconstruction, the idea of a National Science Foundation began to take shape. The year 1947 saw Bush himself advocating for such an institution, a place where scientists could pursue knowledge unfettered, driving innovation and ensuring America's position at the forefront of global scientific progress. As we delve deeper into this captivating narrative, we find ourselves in the midst of political debates and societal transformations. Figures like Daniel J. Kebles and Jessica Wong offer us glimpses into the intricate dance between science, politics, and society during this period. The National Science Foundation, once a mere concept, gradually became a reality, navigating through the complexities of American politics and academic landscapes. The journey ahead promises to be as fascinating as it is complex, filled with stories of visionaries, bureaucrats, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge. Join me next as we explore the blossoming of American science, where institutions like the National Science Foundation would play a central role in shaping not just the future of America, but the world itself. Welcome back to our podcast, dear listeners, as we continue our journey through the annals of history, exploring the decline of a mighty empire, the Soviet Union. As we step into the 1980s, the Soviet Union, under the leadership of Mikhail Gorbachev, was undergoing significant transformations. The policies of glasnost and perestroika, introduced by Gorbachev, aimed to bring about transparency and reform, respectively, to the Soviet system. These reforms, though intended to revitalize the Soviet economy and increase openness, would ultimately contribute to the erosion of the Soviet Union's foundations. Let us transport ourselves to the bustling streets of Moscow in 1985, where the atmosphere was electric with anticipation and uncertainty. The Soviet people, for the first time in decades, were beginning to experience a sense of freedom, as censorship was loosened and discussions about the future of the Soviet Union became more open. It was an era marked by great change, as the Soviet Union struggled to come to terms with its place in the world. As we navigate through this complex period, we find ourselves in the midst of significant events that would shape the course of history. The Chernobyl disaster in 1986, for instance, not only highlighted the safety concerns surrounding nuclear power, but also exposed the inadequacies of the Soviet system in handling crises. This event, along with others, such as the withdrawal of Soviet troops from Afghanistan, marked a turning point in the Soviet Union's fortunes. In the words of Mikhail Gorbachev himself, the reformers' main task was to make the Soviet system more efficient, to make it work better, and to make it more humane. However, These efforts at reform would ultimately prove insufficient to stem the tide of change that was sweeping across Eastern Europe and within the Soviet Union itself. As we explore this period further, we are struck by the vivid contrasts between the aspirations of the Soviet people for a better future and the harsh realities of a system in decline. The rise of nationalist movements within the Soviet republics, the growing dissatisfaction with economic conditions, and the increasing openness to Western ideas all contributed to an environment in which the Soviet Union's grip on power was slowly loosening. The events that have unfolded have set the stage for a dramatic conclusion, one that will see the end of an empire and the dawn of a new era. Join me next as we explore the final act in this tale, where the remnants of the Soviet Union give way to a new world order and the legacy of its decline continues to shape global politics to this day. Welcome back to our podcast, dear listeners, as we continue our journey through the annals of history, exploring the decline and legacy of the Soviet Union. As we step into the early 1990s, the Soviet Union was on the brink of collapse. The policies of glasnost and perestroika, intended to revitalize the Soviet economy and increase openness, had ultimately contributed to the erosion of the Soviet Union's foundations. The rise of nationalist movements within the Soviet republics, growing dissatisfaction with economic conditions, and increasing openness to Western ideas had all taken their toll. Let us transport ourselves to the historic moment on December 25, 1991, when Mikhail Gorbachev resigned as president of the Soviet Union, marking the official end of the Soviet era. The Soviet flag was lowered from the Kremlin for the last time, and the Russian tricolor was raised in its place. This symbolic act marked not only the end of an empire, but also the dawn of a new era for Russia and the other former Soviet republics. As we explore this period further, we are struck by the challenges faced by these newly independent states. The transition from a planned to a market-based economy was fraught with difficulties, including hyperinflation, economic instability, and significant declines in living standards for many citizens. The establishment of new political systems, often with little precedent or infrastructure, presented its own set of challenges. In Russia, under the leadership of Boris Yeltsin, there were attempts to implement radical economic reforms known as shock therapy, aimed at rapidly transitioning to a market economy. However, these reforms had mixed results, leading to widespread poverty and inequality, but also laying the groundwork for future economic growth. The legacy of the Soviet Union's decline continues to shape global politics to this day. The end of the Cold War and the emergence of the United States as the world's sole superpower marked a significant shift in international relations. The impact on Eastern Europe was profound, with many countries transitioning to democracy and eventually joining the European Union and NATO. As we look back on this period, it is clear that the decline of the Soviet Union was a complex and multifaceted process, influenced by internal factors such as economic stagnation and political repression, as well as external pressures like the Cold War and the rise of nationalist movements. The aftermath of its collapse has seen both challenges and opportunities for the peoples of the former Soviet Union and has significantly reshaped the global geopolitical landscape. In conclusion, the story of the Soviet Union's decline is a testament to the dynamic nature of history, where the actions of individuals, the policies of governments, and the aspirations of people can lead to profound changes in the course of nations. As we reflect on this period, we are reminded of the importance of understanding our shared past, as it continues to influence our present and shape our future. Join me next as we explore other fascinating tales from history, each with its own unique story of transformation, challenge, and change. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, remember that to understand the present, we must first understand the past.